You are standing at a bus stop. It is 6 degrees outside. Your shoulders are hunched, your hands are jammed into your pockets, and you are silently begging the bus to arrive faster. You assume this is just modern inconvenience, but the real answer is far stranger. That shiver running through your shoulders right now is 3 million years old. It is not a malfunction. It is a message sent from a body that once had no heated bus shelter, no down jacket, no thermostat waiting at home. Your ancestors faced winters that could kill in hours, not days, and somehow they made it through. Not just once, generation after generation, for hundreds of thousands of years, in places far colder than any bus stop you have ever stood at. So how did they do it? The honest answer is not what most people expect. It was not thick fur, because humans never had much of that to begin with. It was not raw willpower either. The real answer sits somewhere between biology, behavior, and a discovery so strange that scientists are still arguing about it. Somewhere between your brain's oldest instincts and a fire that changed the entire shape of the human skeleton. Start with the fire, because that is where the story actually begins. Around 400,000 years ago, something remarkable happened at a site called Qesem Cave in what is now Israel. Researchers found evidence of repeated, controlled fire use, not just a single lucky spark, but a hearth returned to again and again. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has spent decades arguing that fire did more than provide warmth. It rewired the human body itself. Wrangham's cooking hypothesis suggests that cooked food delivers far more usable calories than raw food because heat breaks down tough fibers before your stomach ever has to. That extra energy, Wrangham argues, is part of what allowed the human brain to grow so large in the first place. Fire was not a convenience. It was a caloric subsidy that made surviving a brutal winter and everything else about being human possible. But fire alone could not keep a body warm in the open, on the move, hunting through snow. For that, the body itself had to change. Here is where the science gets genuinely strange. Deep inside your chest and around your collarbone, you carry a substance called brown fat, formerly known as brown adipose tissue. Unlike the white fat that stores energy, brown fat burns it directly, generating heat as its primary job. Babies are born with a lot of it. Most adults today have very little, because modern life rarely asks the body to generate its own warmth. But researchers studying cold-adapted populations have found that people regularly exposed to real cold can reactivate this tissue, essentially turning their bodies back into small furnaces. Your ancestors were not fighting winter from the outside in. Their bodies were literally burning brighter from the inside, every single day, for months at a time. Now widen the lens further back, to the Neanderthals, humanity's cold climate cousins who thrived across Ice Age Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. Paleoanthropologist Eric Trinkus, who has studied Neanderthal skeletons extensively, found something telling in their bones. Neanderthal bodies were shorter and stockier than modern humans, with wider torsos and shorter limbs. This is not a coincidence. It follows a biological principle called Bergmann's rule, which predicts that mammals in colder climates evolve more compact shapes, because a smaller surface area relative to body mass loses less heat. Your ancestors were not just surviving winter with clever tricks. Evolution itself was sculpting bodies, generation by generation, into shapes built to hold heat in. Here is the twist, though, the part that quietly rewrites the whole story. Survival was never only physical. Winter did something to the ancient mind as well, and it may still be doing it to yours. Psychiatrist Norman Rosenthal, working in the 1980s, identified a pattern he called seasonal affective disorder, a form of low mood tied directly to shrinking daylight hours. Rosenthal's research showed that reduced sunlight disrupts the body's internal clock and its production of serotonin and melatonin, chemicals that regulate mood and sleep. For your ancestors, this seasonal shift in mood was not a disorder to be treated. It may have been an adaptation in itself, a built-in signal telling the body to slow down, conserve energy, sleep longer, and wait. Which raises a strange question. What if some of that ancient sleep looked nothing like your sleep does now? Historian A. Roger Ekarch uncovered something in old diaries, court records, and medical texts that quietly upended assumptions about pre-industrial sleep. Before artificial light reshaped the night, many people slept in two distinct segments, a first sleep and a second sleep, with a quiet waking period in between, spent by the fire, in conversation, or in prayer. Ekarch's research suggests this pattern may have been the norm for much of human history, particularly through the long, dark stretches of winter nights. Your ancestors were not fighting to stay unconscious for 8 uninterrupted hours. They were working with the length of the night, not against it. So winter did not just test the ancient body, it reorganized ancient behavior itself, down to something as basic as when people slept and how they used the dark. Here is where it comes back to you, standing at that bus stop, shoulders hunched, hands in your pockets. The shiver in your shoulders is a genuine attempt to generate heat through rapid muscle contraction, the very same mechanism that helped a Neanderthal hunter survive an exposed ridge 60,000 years ago. The heaviness you feel on a short, dark afternoon in December is not simply modern fatigue. It may be an echo of Rosenthal's seasonal signal, still quietly running in the background of a body built for a world with real winters and real consequences. Even your craving for a heavy, warm meal on a cold night is not just comfort food. It is an ancient calorie-seeking instinct, inherited from bodies that once needed every extra bit of fat reserves fire and cooking could provide. None of this vanished when central heating arrived. It simply went quiet, waiting for the right temperature to wake it back up. So the next time you are standing at that bus stop, cold, impatient, arms crossed against the wind, consider what is actually happening underneath your jacket. Consider the fire that once rewired your ancestors' brains, the brown fat quietly working to keep your organs warm, the compact, heat-conserving shape written into human bone by thousands of winters, and the ancient rhythm of mood and sleep still ticking away inside you, entirely on its own schedule. You are not just waiting for a bus. You are standing in the middle of a 3-million-year-old survival story, and your body still remembers every year of it.